Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another show. And I guess maybe you're not watching in the evening. If you're not, good morning, good afternoon. Whenever you watch or listen, hey, say hi, Clay.
Hey everybody, it's so what did we say? We decided this is the last one for the year, right? We're gonna do this
Yes,
one
I'm glad you said that. Yeah,
and
last
then we're
one
off.
for the year. Then we're going to take our nice little break, do all our holiday stuff and hibernate for a couple months. I'm sure we're going to keep busy, but yeah, then we'll be back fresh for, whatever the first
Sure, that
late.
first week of January, post New Year's,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I've been
So,
hitting the head too many times. Before I forget, happy holidays to everybody. Whatever holidays you celebrate and subscribe to, and all that good stuff. Happy holidays, because by the end of this show, I'm sure it'll be right out of my brain.
yeah, I'm glad you said it because it's going to be right out of my brain too. All right, guys, we'll get started right after this. Oh, hey. Well, the news cycle doesn't disappoint. They always give us something to talk about, right?
Yeah, and some of what we're going to talk about tonight is ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is very pointed and brand new.
Yeah.
But we never want, do we? Do we ever
No.
want? There's always plenty of content.
Lucky us, I guess, in that weird way. So first up, right off the bat, we're talking about Hunter. Good old sweet good boy Hunter. Poor poor Hunter's always getting picked on. So sad. Yeah, no, I don't feel that. So over the past week or so, they released some bombshell news that he's getting hit with a second indictment. Yes, and this one includes three
It's a total of
felonies.
9, right?
Yes, total of 9,
Counts?
3 felonies, and 6 misdemeanors. And I think now, if I'm reading this right, this one stems from his failure to pay $1.4 million in taxes. That's what
$1 million in
this
taxes.
kind of
Yes.
revolves around. Chump
Yes.
change. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
have that in my pocket. Kidding. No, I don't.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things outside of just the appalling dollar amount, right? And
Mhm.
oh, by the way, the things that he spent money on. I mean,
Yes, I
in a
think I even
4-year
have
span.
this.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Right. That's a
Yes.
great graphic.
Right? Isn't that
I
terrific?
mean,
I can't take any credit for it. That might be Fox. I'm not sure.
yeah. I
But
mean, in a 4-year span, the guy spent a mortgage
yes.
on, there it is, adult entertainment,
Yep.
and bought a complete mansion for payments
Yes.
to various women. Like that's
Yes.
$870 something thousand in 4 years.
Yeah. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. And I mean stunning. By stunning, I mean appalling, disgusting, and unsurprising. I mean, this has been talked about for
Yep.
so long now by the conspiracy theorists and, all the crazy loons, who are posting various sites, platforms and everything, the types of things we do. I mean, obviously the laptop stuff alone, the stuff that was on there is just unbelievable. And here we are. And this guy, how can you not think that he's untouchable based on what's going on right now? He's not locked up. He's got a little bad boy slap. Daddy's protecting him, once again. And will it
Well,
stick?
so
Can
I
he
mean,
anymore?
reality wise, I mean, pretrial confinement kind of stuff is reserved to violent criminals, which
Sure.
he's not. I mean,
Right.
this is for tax evasion stuff. It's for fraud.
Mhm.
But, is he a flight risk? You could argue that he is, but you could also argue that there's nowhere in the world he could go, with the exception of probably China at this point, where he wouldn't be extradited, identified, extradited to the United States. I mean, there's
Right.
no way. And oh, by the way, if he flees, he knows, and his father knows, that's the end. Like he's going to have to eat this and hope for the best. But like you said, there's a level of protection based on who he is. but you know, go back to, you said it, that the laptop, right? Go back to the election of, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the president said it. Hunter is the smartest guy I know. He's the
Mm-hmm.
smartest guy the president knows. And I get it. It's his son. You know,
Sure.
you're gonna, you're gonna wax, poetic about your children at times, but this is
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Smartest guy I know. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine, fatherly, whatever. There was the conspiracy theorist, like you said, about the laptop. Oh, no, that's Russian propaganda. It's
Right.
all made up. I mean, that was our Justice Department that said that, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there is a level of protection. That alone is evidence that there's a level of protection
Right.
that existed before he was elected, right?
Yes.
Before
Oh,
President Biden.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is, I mean,
Goes way
long
back.
time.
Goes way back. But here's my biggest takeaway on this whole thing is our kids, your parent and a grandparent, right?
Yep.
I'm a parent. Your kids are a reflection of you.
Right.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if your kids, if you abandon your kids are a direct result of you abandoning them. If you pop, they're a direct, whatever parenting style or lack of parenting style that you have, your children reflect it. There are, right? I get it. There are kids with, developmental issues, behavioral issues that go, beyond the way that you've raised them into, theological, so psychological, kind of issues. But for the most part, like, let's talk the 95% of the population. Your kids are a reflection of who you are and how you raise them. This is a direct reflection on the president and the house that he raised his sons in.
Absolutely. You know what? It's really hard to see it any other way than that. You look at Biden's, as a career politician, you look at his track record and his failings and just the things that he has said over the years, just that alone, if you want to take away everything else, his ineffectiveness, his lack of doing anything of real consequence, if you look at the things that he says over the years before the senility kicked in, the guy was pretty bad. And that's just scratching the surface of, that's just what you see on the surface. And now you have all of these things, as we know, they've opened, Mike Johnson's opened the indictment inquiry, right? That's kind of where we're at right now. So now and if I understand it correctly, it appears that he feels that there is enough now to open this and to get some legs on it and see what they come up with. I mean, what they come up with, it's everywhere, and it's just more proof of like all the things that we keep seeing over the years, is whether it's about COVID or specifically its origin and effects and everything, all the stuff that floats out on the internet from smart people who know what they're talking about, and getting, hushed up because, conspiracy, election cycle, you can't talk about any of that. So these platforms will just shut it all down, any conversation. And then when it can't do them any harm, then they're like, well, okay, this might be the truth. Oh, and then after that, okay, well, it is the truth. Things that people were saying, months and months and even years prior, and this whole Biden crime family, this is in my eyes, and obviously not in any Democrat's eyes, apparently. This is just a matter of fact. This is a crime syndicate, this family. And
it's organized white collar crime, but you're 100% right. I mean,
and it's all going to come to light. Like, it's all going to come to light. It just may not be for many, many years. And that's the kick in the face to all the Americans, to all of us, that's the kick in the face, that all of the things that we've been saying are all going to come to light when it can't do them any harm. And that's disgusting. No accountability. Will Hunter get any accountability here? Will anything happen? I would be stunned. I would be absolutely stunned if he faces anything more than a little bad boy. And that's it.
And so a couple things. One, so the president, I just saw the president said he now feels bad for running in 2020 and being elected, because if he hadn't, then Hunter wouldn't be prosecuted right now. So he's only, it's not that he committed any crimes.
Right.
It's that, I feel bad because my son got caught because I ran for president is what it boils down to. And that he wouldn't be, subjected to all of this while he's trying to get sober and get his life together. Like, are you kidding me? So, right. I mean, there's that perspective, which is horrible. I mean, just that, and you said it, the senility with the president. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth, that kind of thing. I get all of that, and that probably, maybe it is what he meant to say. I don't know, but
right,
and I think back to, there have been some great and not great kids who live in the White House, right? I mean, if you go back, the Obama, the Obama girls. Well, let's look at the Trump kids, right? And go right. They'd won in the House. Yeah, truthfully, was subjected to more crap than that kid ever deserved to be subjected to. Right. The olders I get. Right. The olders were, kind of at some point staff or advisors. Okay, fine, but they're adults.
Right. Whole different playing field when they're adults.
Totally different. Right. And then you had the Obama girls who got in their fair share of trouble. Right. And continue to do, there are plenty of stories about them. I think the older, blatantly smoking pot, while the Secret Service was standing there, kind of thing. Those stories are out there. Before that, you had the Bush girls who
the Bush twins, right? College, they were a little wild.
They were a little wild at college too.
Yeah.
And then you keep going back and back and back, right? You could say, Bush, HW, was, he's a presidential child, not adult, right? And, it's out there. He had issues with alcohol at one point in time. Okay, fine. I don't think, and as far back as I can recall, there's never been anything like this. Never.
No. I mean, if there was, it was kept so under wraps. There was some, like you said, some delinquent behaviors and eyebrow raising things, but all stuff that you could go, I mean, all rites of passage. They just unfortunately had to do it in the public eye, essentially. And this is so far out of the scope of normal
human behavior. Normal, let alone the child of a president. Like, this guy is so broken as a human being, but perpetuated. Like, he would never have had access to this stuff, never had access to this money, this level of influence without exploitation of who his father is and the influence that his father potentially has. Like, his entire, I won't say his entire downfall, because obviously the guy's an addict. That's a whole discussion in and of itself. But the severity of where he is at, and I mean, you could go back to that graphic with all the dollar amounts on there. There's no way he has access to that money without his dad.
We're gonna put that up.
Yeah, no,
I mean, just taking a look at that again from
look at the ATM cash withdrawal.
Yeah. What? Yeah. First of all, my bank won't even let me take out more than 300 at a time. So what's up with that? Yeah. I mean, if you look at those numbers, you see like you said, a broken, depraved, sick human with way, way, way too much access and ability. And, they know by their own admission that the guy is a screw up, and he's been a long time screw up for decades, really. and they reward that or justify it or cover it up, or I mean, however you want to look at it, by putting him in positions of power and authority where, he can do all of these things. How is it? First of all, if you're a father trying to protect your son, trying to get him on the right path, I don't really think that's the smartest course, but I think the reality is they just don't care. They truly believe that they're above the law. They're above reproach, and now, I don't really even think they feel any differently about it. I still think they feel like doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're just going to ignore it. We're just going to ignore it. We're not even going to answer questions. And if you ask me a question about it, I'm just going to walk away. I'm going to, I have the video somewhere. I'll put it up there of him being asked and just walking, just walking away. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we'll move on to the next chapter. I'm sorry, I do have one question. Yes, go ahead. Okay, so I understand the acronym deny, exit, avoid, dismiss. I'm just having a hard time visualizing how to put that into practice. Okay, well, the best way to explain it is to give you a couple examples. Here we go.
On Ukraine and also China, there's polling by the Associated Press that shows that almost 70% of Americans, including 40% of Democrats, believe that you acted either illegally or unethically in regards to your family's business interests. Can you explain to the Americans, amid this impeachment inquiry, why you interacted with so many of your son and brother's foreign business associates?
I'm not going to comment on that. I did not, and it's just a bunch of lies.
You didn't interact with many of their business associates?
I did not. There's lies.
What's the on Ukraine?
All right, we can end this briefing if it's not going to be respectful here. Chris.
That's what I'm saying. You're receiving an African leader and you don't take questions.
Thanks, everybody.
I have a question about gas prices.
Thanks, everybody.
Can we do one about appalling gas prices?
Getting defensive and taking his ball and going home. That's that administration's tactic to just turn around and walk away when they don't want to answer a question. They just okay, we're done. Yeah, just okay, I'm done. Bye.
happens in the press room every day.
Yes,
every day it's the same thing. But
yeah.
You're right. I mean, he's on Air Force One, right? That's been documented too, right? Since all this stuff has come out, he rides around with his dad, Air Force One. Mm-hmm. There's all of the emails, right? All of this stuff is coming out. It's becoming more and more clear. Like you said, there's indictments coming. There is going to be an impeachment process that is going to get initiated. We'll see what comes out of it. That may be the nail in the coffin too, that puts Newsom into the driver's seat to run as a Democratic candidate. Who knows where all that's going to play out, but it's coming because all the evidence is there. You said it. It's a syndicate crime type family. Yeah. The lack of, humanity is just blatant. We've discussed a number of times how his family lets the president continue to be the president. It's a form of elder abuse, kind of thing. And then there's this, right? But it goes back to the simple, the guy, he lies for a living. It's part of the fabric of who he is.
Yes.
And there you go. He said it again yesterday. He was talking about the fire in his house that almost killed his wife. And, everybody's been over it. It was a small kitchen fire. Nobody was, but that's what he
didn't he tell that story at in what was it, Maui in Hawaii with the fires there, and he compared, right?
Yeah. Well,
there's a great comparison. Stop letting this guy talk. Do not let him talk off the cuff. And I'm sure they tried darn hard to keep him from doing that. I'm sure they give him the talking points and say, just say this, just read the prompter, and he can't do it. He can't do it. It's just asking way too much.
And neither can Kamala. So, I mean, I guarantee you, they hand her the book, right? It's the briefing book, the binder. Yeah. They get it. She gets it. She's supposed to look through it and get herself up to speed and, and never does it. Now that thing probably sits in front of him. He may even read it. He may blankly stare at it. But once he gets in front of a podium and a teleprompter, all bets are off. So you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. But that's the environment that Hunter grew up in. Right. And that, again, it goes back to, your children are a product of you. It's and you know, it's judgment, it's all of those things, the addiction, like all of that.
Right.
And, so, I get it, right. His mom passed away, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that
Right.
his mom that died? There's
Yes.
some trauma in the guy's life,
Sure.
but clearly he has either been exploited
Mhm.
by his father, or
Right.
he is willfully joined in, and it's not exploitation, it's collusion for the
Right.
two of them to try and make as much money as humanly possible. But either
Yep.
way, as an adult, as a damaged adult, his dad's not doing him any favors. So that
Right.
tells you what kind of human being, President Biden is. And
Oh,
I don't want to hear
absolutely.
I feel bad for him, for running for president because now he's being prosecuted and chased after and all this other stuff. No.
Yeah. No.
The big
No,
guy. You're in the
if you're
emails. You're culpable.
as the big
You're-
guy.
Yeah. It's all,
Yes.
you're as guilty, probably worse so than your son is in this entire thing. Oh, by the way, you're guilty of exploiting or colluding with your son, who clearly has issues, right?
Right.
What
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that speaks volumes about him
Yes.
as a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Craziness.
Oh, there's no question about it. And it's all absolutely disgusting. And, and the lessons that Biden, that Hunter got growing up really is that you can do all of these things. You can lie, you can cheat, you can do all of the God knows what things that they have been doing over all these years, and you will get rewarded for it. You'll get rewarded by, with power, authority, money.
You can become president of the United States.
You can become, lie, cheat, steal, do all of these horrible things, extortion, treason, you name it, do all of these things and you'll get rewarded for it.
Right.
What else are you going to grow up thinking, I guess, if that is your climate and your environment. So, I don't, I was going to say, I would love to be a fly on the wall in those private family conversations, but I actually feel like I would feel filthy just even having to be in the presence of these people, because I think those conversations would make your skin crawl, because there's nothing.
I would say they're probably, I don't know, maybe this is dramatization, but they're probably reminiscent of stuff out of The Godfather.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
right.
the same type of, it's handled as business. It's, legally, morally, ethically wrong, but it is what it is. And this is how things are. And we're just going to do it anyway. And, people don't understand this is how life works, blah, 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 blah. The conversations are probably very similar in tone as an organized crime family. It is what it is. But yeah, there's huge yuck factor in sitting in on any of that stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, no matter what, it's going to be it'll be interesting to see where this goes. There's certainly conversation. Is this just yet another distraction? Like, look over here, we'll sacrifice him because he's not really that important. So we'll use him as the sacrifice right now so we can work on getting this developed, noose him more than likely. Let's get this going behind the scenes and distract everybody with that, something we're not gonna really do anything about, but let's get them riled up and make them think we're going to do something, and that's their little shell game, that they like to play. Look over here, look over there, don't look right here, where the real business is going on. Right. Oh man. All right. So we're going to keep an eye on that, but we'll move on over. Who are we talking about next? We are talking. Yeah.
Backlash, right? We've been talking about this obviously since October. We've been talking about everything that's going on in Israel, the attacks initiated by Hamas, the retaliation by the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, and everything that's been going on over there. We've been talking about that. We've talked on this show about the rise of anti-Semitism, blatant, outward, open anti-Semitism, in the United States. Now we're starting to see an interesting touch of backlash here and there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Backlash all across the board. Backlash against Hollywood actors who have come out in support of Hamas or at the very least anti-Israel, which it's basically the same thing, and they are getting some swift backlash and having to kind of backpedal. And now even bigger and more important, I think, than a bunch of idiot Hollywood monkeys there is these big Ivy League college campuses. I mean, we're talking about Harvard, Penn, and MIT. I mean, this is the big time here, and they are getting called out, which is by Congress, which is actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so we had the resignation of the president of UPenn, right? So that was the first one.
Yes.
In a shocking move today, the president of Harvard was allowed to keep her job with the backing of the board of the university.
What does she have on them?
They have lost $1 billion in donations. $1 billion. And solely from Jewish and Israeli supportive graduates and donors. $1 billion who said,
billion.
No, we're not listening to this. We're not tolerating this. This lady's crazy. All this anti-Semitic stuff that's going on campus that's being tolerated. We're not supporting this. And they pull all their money and have made it public. There have been public statements, letters written, published. It's all out there. And still, the president of the university, Dr. Gay, her name is, who sat up there in front of Congress, refused to acknowledge that this is hate speech. And was
actually,
allowed.
you know what, Clay? We have that, and let's show that, because her her arrogance and condescension, it just seeped right through, and it was actually pretty interesting. So let's take a look.
We embrace a commitment to free expression, even of views that are objectionable, offensive, hateful. It's when that speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies against bullying, harassment.
Does that speech not cross that barrier? Does that speech not call for the genocide of Jews and the elimination of Israel?
When
you testify that you understand that is the definition of intifada. Is that speech according to the code of conduct or not?
We embrace a commitment to free expression and give a wide berth to free expression, even of views that are objectionable.
You and I both know that's not the case. You were aware that Harvard ranked dead last when it came to free speech. Are you not aware of that report?
Ooh, so the refusal to acknowledge the anti-Semitism, that it is more than just free speech. It is hate speech. It is bullying. It is threatening. It is outright harassment, and Jewish students are in fear for their lives on their college campus. And she's just like, yeah, no, free speech. What are you going to do?
It's full of shit. I mean, just flat out, because you could say the exact same message, as horrific as this is, but the same message. If you walked across campus, 30 people, shaved heads, jack boots, Nazi uniforms, waving swastikas,
right?
Which is exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
Exactly
Those
the same.
people would be arrested immediately.
Right.
Immediately arrested.
Yes.
So
No
the
question
free
about
speech thing. No, the free speech thing is bullshit. That's all it is. And her level of arrogance, you pointed it out, and you're 100% right. It's sickening. Now, she's under a little bit of fire herself right now.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Her doctoral thesis has been, there's some accusations of plagiarism in her doctoral thesis, which my understanding now, Harvard is trying to redefine plagiarism to get her off the hook, which I think is hilarious.
Yes.
But again, typical liberal thought process is rewrite the rules.
That's all.
Just rewrite the rules.
We don't like them. Rewrite them.
Accountability. Yeah. But she's full of it. This is garbage. There's no, you can't, we have laws against hate speech in this country. Okay. And it has nothing to do with conduct.
No.
Right. We have, and we've talked about that on this show too. Why are we not seeing more, hate crime discussion in all of this anti-Israel rhetoric that's going on across the United States? Why are we not seeing that? Why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Right. I'm so sad and frustrated and angry for the Jewish community to live in this time, and to have this happening is so heartbreaking. It's so sad and disheartening, and I can only imagine how they must be feeling to see the anti-Semitism is alive and kicking today, and really, really frighteningly so. And it's just so disturbing. And to see, and I got to go back to this Harvard president and Harvard in general. I don't know if you saw this, but first of all, I have to say, I think we are seeing the true decline of some of these Ivy League schools. And this one, if this wasn't enough, the fact that they have a course on Taylor Swift now is that part is just laughable. That if my kids, if I had college age kids, and if Harvard was in the realm of possibilities for them, that alone would get the hell no. Tells you everything right there that you need to know.
But so, and when I first heard about that, I was in exactly the same camp. And I know this is a little bit off topic, but having put some thought into this, and I'm not trying to change your mind. But
Okay.
One, in the digital age, right, where we are now, any level of education where we talk about the use of social media and influencing and how that works, right? And oh, by the way, a business course in what that young lady has done. If you take those two things and you just use her as the, centerpiece for the course,
right?
And I don't know what that course is about. I have no idea. All I know is if those two are the focal points of a course called Taylor Swift 101 or whatever you want to call it, there's potentially some value in there. But my gut reaction was exactly what yours is, which is like, I can't believe this. This is insanity. Yeah. This is the highest level of education in the United States, and this is what they're getting. So again, off topic, and I'm not trying to change your mind. Maybe I am a little bit, but course content would be interesting to take a look at.
Yes. So I will give it that caveat that if it is what you said, if they're using it in that way, okay, we can go with that. Is that what it is? I don't know.
I don't know.
I just have this image of some Fruit Loop professor coming in, like Taylor Swift, blasting Shake It Off. That's the first song I can think of that I know of hers. I don't know. Are they going to study her songs and give lyrical dissertations? Who the heck knows? I don't even know.
It's possible. It's entirely
so possible. I hope somebody comments and lets us know if they know.
What department teaches it, right? That I think is the best indicator of what the course content is, regardless. Yes. Back to the real topic.
Yes, back to it. I'm sorry. That was my fault. I sent us aside with that. But so we have one of the three college presidents resigned as a result of all this. Liz Magel, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think that's what it is. Claudine Gay, as we know, they have doubled down on their support for her. I think that's going to be their undoing. I don't, will they recover from it? I have no idea. We'll see what happens. I can't imagine because now they're gunning for, so we've already found out the plagiarism. What else is there going to be? And can they withstand? I mean, $1 billion loss. That's huge. And that may be just the beginning. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. I don't know what happened with MIT, to tell you the truth, with their president.
I haven't heard a peep.
No, she's laying low. I think they're just laying low and ducking and covering and trying to get out of this as best they can. And we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But it is pretty interesting. And it's interesting to see the tide turning, and
so there's another one now. Not related to the congressional testimony, but I don't know if you saw it. Oberlin College in Ohio. Oberlin, I think it's a university in Ohio, which is renowned as potentially the most liberal university in the United States. So they have did have a titled professor, the professor of peace. Now, this is a former, he's an Iranian, was the Iranian ambassador to the UN, has been overtly critical, harassing of Israeli students, Jewish students on campus, has, potentially a role. There is charges out there, or people are trying to gain support to provide more data that it was involved in a cover-up of the massacre of 5,000-ish dissidents against the government of Iran while he was an employee there. But also just fired by Oberlin because they found out that in 1997, now people have been protesting this guy in his position for a decade, right?
Yeah.
But they just found out that 25 years ago, a complaint was filed against him in a trade grades for sex kind of thing, right? Way back in 1997, 98, right?
Yeah.
But they're just firing him now. Now they have said that, and words matter. This is a university, right? And a university president that said that they have, because they've been defending him as this professor of peace for a few years now, right? Just that part of it. Yeah. And now they have decided that the defense of him is untenable. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with that term, we use that term in the military often. And an untenable defense is a position that you can no longer defend, right?
Wow.
It's not that you don't want to. It's not that it's not still a valuable piece of terrain to own. It's the fact that you are going to lose so much, in equipment and personnel and everything else to defend that it's not worth the loss. So it's not that they don't still support him. That's what untenable means. His defense is untenable. It's not that we don't want to defend him.
Wow.
It's just the cost is going to be too high. So they're not even admitting anything. They've just found a reason to offload this guy. But he is I hate to say it, a far extreme Muslim male, anti-Semitic. It's been going on for a while. But even on the point is on the campus of the most liberal university in the country, they are finding a reason to get rid of this guy who is blatantly anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, anti-Jew, everything. So the backlash
it's bad.
Is starting to reach.
It's bad. It's big when the most liberal one says, we just can't do it. Doesn't work. Yeah.
Right. And to use something, it's 25 years old. We just found out about this.
Yeah.
We had no idea that this happened in 1997. Had we known, we never would have hired him. Really?
So that's going to be the next. Do you think that'll be the next major trial we'll be watching? Because now all the I don't know what statutes of limitations on things are or anything like that. But now I would think that would open up a lot of lawsuits against this guy if it's even possible to sue for damages.
I have no idea. I mean, just the potential for that is great. Like you said, statute of limitations matters. But they've removed him. Like his name, the nameplate is off the door. They know that for sure. Like people have looked into this. He's done. But again, that backlash for this kind of stuff, they found a reason to get rid of this guy.
Right.
They've been defending him for a couple of years. And at this point, with everything going on in the world, Hamas, Israel, and everything else, they're like, this guy's he's not worth the trouble. And they're getting rid of him.
Do some damage control, right?
Yeah.
And I give them zero credit. I give them no kudos whatsoever. Nothing. None. I think they are, even more appalling and disgusting. That it's that word that you said. It's that untenable. It's the non-admission. It's non-admission of any wrongdoing, any culpability, any accountability for anything. It's just like, we're just gonna send him away. We're all done. Moving on. And, that's one of those things I think, again, I feel like this is like the theme throughout tonight, this one word, and it's, my favorite word in some ways, and it's accountability. And in these cases, the lack thereof, this consistent refusal to take accountability for the actions that they do or not do, depending on the circumstance and the consequences of all of that. And that they get to just, drop these bombs, explode all over the place and walk away, with jobs intact, talking about Principal Gay there. It's just, it's very, very frustrating and disgusting to me. And I don't know. I just would like to see some real accountability, some real consequence, and maybe we will see it. Maybe this will damage Harvard's reputation beyond repair. And do I necessarily want that to happen? No, I want them to do better. Be better, do better. But we'll see, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a continuation, I think, especially for the Ivy League. Through COVID, they learned and had to admit this what everybody else already knew, which is online learning is still quality education if done correctly and done well, right? Places like University of Phoenix and some of these other online universities have been producing quality education programs for a long time. And what you got out of the Ivy League was, oh, wow, that's not a Harvard education. That's not Yale. That's not this. That's not that. Blah, 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 blah. And then for almost 2 years, what did they do? Online education. And you know what? Those kids who spent 2 years online getting their education online from Harvard, yeah, they got a degree that says Harvard, but they got an online education just like somebody from University of Phoenix. And you can argue the quality of the instructor, but the argument has always been online education is not as good as in-person education, blah, blah, blah. Their diploma from Harvard doesn't have an asterisk on it. It doesn't say I graduated from Harvard in 2022, asterisk, small print at the bottom, but for 2 years I had online education. It doesn't say that. Right? So this, on top of that, I think the luster of the Ivy League is starting to wear a little bit. I think that the man behind the curtain is poking his head out, and I think everybody's getting a real look at what these institutions really are, and that is a lot of money wasted. Truthfully.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of parents, I think it's that quiet majority that I think really does exist in a larger proportion to everyone else. And that silent majority is, moderately conservative, and they're looking at what's going on. And like, I'm not spending all that money to send my kid, my nice, normal, well-adjusted kid. I'm not sending him there to have him come out some blue-haired, tantrum throwing, basement dwelling, jackass. I'm not doing it. Not going to happen. Not on my dime.
Send that kid to a directional school, an Eastern, a Western, a Northern, a Southern, a Central, whatever. Send them to a directional school. Let them get a good education, get well adjusted, and they're still going to be able to work when they get out of college, and they're not going to be in debt for $500,000.
Yeah.
All right. We're moving on to it's one of, and I've said this before, there are two topics in America that are instant division. Right.
Yes.
And one, which we've talked about on the show, is guns, and the other one is abortion. Right.
Yeah.
But what we're going to talk about is really the grayest of gray areas.
It truly is
abortion. Right.
I tell you,
and this is where whatever side of the argument you're on. Right. This is one of those that you have to stop and think. You have to, really make a concerted adult effort to understand what's going on. And then you may end up readjusting your opinion in some form or fashion at the end of it. So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, a woman named Kate Cox in Texas applied for an abortion in the state of Texas. Okay. Now, Texas is one of the states, once Roe v. Wade was flipped, that, did what we all want states to do, and that is they took responsibility, states' rights. They determined what was going to be legal in the state of Texas. Okay.
Yes.
And the big fear for a lot of people when it came to abortion was it was not going to be thought through, and the gray areas were going to be too vast to, make it reasonable. And unfortunately, this young woman, Kate Cox, fell square in the middle of this gray area.
She did. She really did.
Yeah. So, and I think you're probably as familiar with this as I am. But there's some medical complications, right?
Right. Yeah. So sure. So the background is, Kate Cox, she's 31 years old. When she was 20 weeks pregnant, her doctors determined that the fetus had a genetic or chromosomal issue. Is called, and I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. I actually don't know how to pronounce it, but I want to say trisomy. It's trisomy 18, and it causes high potential for causing heart defects and other organ defects, and it has a very high miscarriage rate if your unborn child it has this, most of those pregnancies, or majority of those pregnancies, will end in miscarriage. And of the 10% that survive, they don't survive to their first birthday. So this is an incredibly serious birth defect that is very likely life-threatening to the child. So they found this out, and they decided that the most humane thing for themselves to do for both the mother and the unborn child was to terminate the pregnancy. And so they had to, like you said, they had to apply to be able to do this, because again, she was 20 weeks pregnant at the time, and Texas is it's the heartbeat, when the heartbeat, so usually it's 6 weeks. So
there's two things.
Go ahead.
It's the heartbeat, but it's also the application was required based on the number of weeks, but also because you have to prove a threat to the life of the mother, which in this case, there is not a high threat to the life of the mother. Now, there are threats to potential future capability to birth another child, to have another child. She may, the effects of this condition may affect her and her ability to have a child after this pregnancy. So, but not life-threatening to her. And those, unfortunately, are the stipulations. And I say, unfortunately, those are the stipulations for her case, for her specific situation. And this is the gray area stuff we're talking about. There's no or very, very little threat to her life, which is a requirement in the state of Texas, past a certain number of weeks for a mother to apply. That requires them to apply for an abortion. As the pregnancy goes on, as you said, the likelihood of a miscarriage and the likelihood of her, the degradation or elimination of her ability to carry a child for a future pregnancy, those chances go up, and they continue to go up. She's made multiple trips to the emergency room. There has been medical complications for her. Nothing, again, life-threatening, but again, trips to the ER and some other things. So it's not getting better, right? So they tried to do everything within the law. They tried to put in for the application. The Attorney General of the state of Texas fought tooth and nail against this because she didn't meet the stipulations, because there was no threat to her life. So when it got to a point where they really, really had to make a decision, this young lady had to do what we all knew was going to happen in a lot of these cases. And I don't know where she went, but I know that she left the state of Texas to go somewhere else to go get this abortion. Right. And that is not, I don't care what side of the argument you're on. That is not a position that any of us wish upon a mother carrying a child, right? To be put in that position where you've got to wait on bureaucracy of all things to make these kinds of, and listen, this family didn't take this lightly. This wasn't a haphazard, I plan B pill the next, it's not that. That's not what this is. And I don't know your beliefs because we've never talked about this, but I have a feeling I know where you sit on this issue. But I know you, and I know that you're a loving human being, and I know that you don't want the mother to have to go through, no mother to have to go through these kinds of things. No, this is a horrible, horrible thing. And it is absolutely gut-wrenching. It is. And we don't want this for anybody, but this is where lawmakers have failed, truthfully, right? They have failed in all of this. And again, states' rights, Texas decides what is good for Texas. And if you don't like it, then move out of Texas. Okay. Right. That's the argument. Yeah. But in this case, they have failed. My opinion, I think they failed. They've left way too much of a gray area, or they've made it way too stringent on purpose without considering the effect of cases like this. And I think it's an abject failure by the state of Texas, one, in the way their law is structured, and two, in the horrible, horrible amount of time that this has taken, that has forced this mother to just say, you know what, screw it, and to go somewhere else. Yeah. Which we don't want. Nobody wants that. No. But Texas, this is a failure on Texas. I'm sorry. There's no two ways. You can't cut it a different way in my mind, in my heart. Texas has screwed this one up bad. Yeah. Yeah. I sat with this one for a long time today, really, really thinking about it. And I am a pro-lifer. And, so of course it was a lot of struggle with me internally to really think about all of the sides of this, because I can be very black and white about it, that, a child
an unborn child has a right to the opportunity to life. And, but the other side of that is I'm a, like you said, I'm a compassionate, caring person. I'm a mother. I put myself, I sat and I put myself as best as you possibly can mentally in her situation. And it's everything that you said. This woman just, this wasn't some light, oops, got to get rid of it. This is not that. And what she has had to go through is, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. You're going through, and she's got two children also. So she is a wife, she is a mother, and now she is carrying a child that she will almost definitely have to watch die. And there's no gray area there. That is pretty much, close to guaranteed, whether it's prior to birth, by miscarriage, or after birth when she's holding her child in her arms. You're going to hold, as a mother, to even think about it, I could start crying right now just to even think about that. So that side of me really truly does win and say, you know what, they did drop the ball. They dropped the ball hard on this. And this is actually cruel and inhumane, what they've done to this woman, and what they're putting her through or have put her through. And and it is so typical of our lawmakers that they do these knee-jerk reactions. And they did the same thing with gun laws here in my state. They rushed so quickly to get these gun laws in that they missed a really big important piece, which is a whole other story, and we won't even go into it. But it was because they were so quick to win, to get their laws set in place so that they win. They lost their humanity, and they did not think it through. And it wasn't a balanced, thoughtful, planned out law. And this is what happens. And this is not the only case. There's another case that has either happened before or subsequently. I'm actually not sure, but this won't be the last of that. So now they really have no choice but to address this law and how they can fix it. I don't know. Texas is pretty tough and stern. Maybe they're just going to say, no, this is what it is and suck it up. I have no idea. But it was a huge eye opener, and I think it helped absolutely no one, benefited no one whatsoever.
Yeah, this is we've heard it since, forever, that, but it's become more prevalent, in the last few years. And that is, the abortion is healthcare argument, right? Which I've never, so my take on that is like, all thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs, right? In the sense that, yes. And I know that sounds stupid. It's very simplified, but it's the same thing.
I like it.
Right?
Right.
All, healthcare, this is a case where abortion is healthcare. Right. Yeah. This is.
Yeah. This is one of those cases. Right.
Not all abortions are, in my opinion. This one definitely is. This is healthcare, right? Health of the mother, mentally, physiologically, like this is healthcare. But, but, unfortunately, we make everything black and white when it's really not. And this is a gray case that the person who is suffering the most in this is that mother. And you can't feel worse about this for anybody. That woman is enduring or did endure or continues to endure the worst effects of bureaucracy that come to mind. Period.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
I hope that, I hope that there is good that can come from this, and that the good that would come from it is better legislation, better lawmaking, better, more compassionate and thoughtful lawmaking there, because that was a bad one. That was a really bad one. And my heart breaks for that family. What an awful experience to go through privately, and then to have to go to these lengths and have it become public. Her name is out there, her face is out there. Yep. And I just my prayers are with that family as they go through this, because it's a double it's a double slam for them, this tremendous loss. And there's a lot of things going on at 20 weeks. And, so there's no question that this was not like you said, not taken lightly in any way.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just sad. So I do hope that some good can come from it.
So I'm gonna challenge our lawmakers and for their New Year's resolution. Right, this is our last show of the year, so I'm going to challenge our lawmakers. Their New Year's resolution across the board at every level across the United States is do better.
Yes,
right? Just do better. That's
do
all
better.
We want. That's all any of us want as Americans, as voters, as your constituency. To all of our lawmakers out there, do better. Do better for us, not for you, not for your agenda, not for your financial backers, not for your donors, any of that crap. Do better. Do better for us. Go to work every day. Show up every day. Fetterman, put a tie on, right?
Put a tie on.
As a whole, as a group, as a population, for our country, do better for us, for the citizens of the United States. Do better. That's my challenge to them. Make it their New Year's resolution. Do better.
I like it. And that's, you know what? We cannot close out our show any better, I think, than that. I think that is our closing statement right there. And we will just put the cherry on top with wishing everyone, we didn't forget, wishing everyone a safe, happy, healthy, wonderful holiday. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. If you're celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah to you. And I wish you all an incredibly blessed, wonderful New Year. And we will see you after it. Clay, want to say your goodbye?
Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy holidays. Be safe. To you and yours, again, happy holidays. Keep moving, keep shooting.